So now that we have our fancy mobile display here, showcasing the website on a mobile device, we can now carry on adding more at the bottom here. So again, if you find that your mobile image there is carrying on scrolling past this container, again, just make sure that you've set that to stay in container. So coming along to the image there under advanced, coming down to motion effects and stay in column. That's very important. Otherwise, it will continue scrolling past that column as well. So we can see here, we probably just want to add a little bit of padding on the bottom of this side as well. Let's go ahead and do that now. So within this container, or in fact within the section, let's come along to advanced. We've got 50 on the bottom there. I'm just going to select this inner container on the right hand side, come to advanced, and I'm going to add 50 padding on the bottom there as well. Also going to add the same 15 on the right and on the left, so that now when it comes down to the bottom, it just has a little bit more padding at the bottom. In fact, we could even increase that a bit more. Let's increase that to maybe, just so that it's in line with the bottom of the phone there, so maybe like 70. So I'm happy with that. That is looking good. So now what we want to do, we want to add a contact section, right? So we've got our visitors on our website. They've seen what we're about, some demos of the websites that we've built. We now want to give them an option, almost like a call to action, to get in touch and find out if we can help. So we want to add a contact us bit. Now, of course, we could build that from scratch with the contact element, but we're just going to build one here out of a template. So let's come along to contact. We'll search for the contacts, and what we'll do, we'll just style this ourselves so that it is in keeping with our brand. So again, we can work with anyone. Let's go with this one here. Let's just insert this. And then at least we've got the bulk, the main part of our contact. So this, you can see, is a 2 different page contact form. So if we actually come to the contact form here, we can see that we've got on the first page the full name, email, phone number. And then as we complete that and go on to the second page, there's the quantity, length, width and height, courier type, form location. Again, probably not relevant. So we can just keep this as a full name, email, phone number, and maybe just a text box for them to write how we can help. So let's just close all of these other bits off. We don't need all of those extra bits. So we can close that like this. We can call this a contact form. Contact form. Now, if we come down to input size, we could say medium. If we want to add a label, we can add the labels on there. If we're going to leave the placeholders like the full name, email in place there, then I don't normally have a label. So I'm going to leave that like that. Now, of course, we can see the next and submit. So we do need to get rid of this first form there. And that's going to just remove the pagination within this contact form. So now we just have the single page option here with a name, email, phone number, and let's just add a text area. So we can give this a placeholder of how can we help. Going to add an asterisk there as well. We could also leave that as a message as well. We could just write message ... something like that. But that is absolutely fine for now. If we wanted the email and phone number to be on the same row, we could do that as well. Let's change that column width to 50, and let's change the phone column width to 50 as well, so that it looks like this. I'm happy with that. And now we can just start styling this with our own branding. So let's just make this title first of all. Get your quote. I'm just going to change this to get in touch or contact us, or whichever you want to do. Or even how can we help, whatever you want to give that title. Let's make that a H2. Now let's come to the styling. We want to give this an accent text color. Let's change that typography to primary. We could also make that a little bit larger, maybe a 2 rem or even a 2.2 rem. 600, we can leave that exactly as it is. That's fine. So let's now come along to the other heading here. So they've used a heading there, not a text editor. That doesn't really make a difference. We can still style that the way that we want. So let's just make this text color text, change that typography to text. Let's maybe increase that from a 1 to a 1.2. So it looks like this. That looks okay. We can finish off styling this contact form. We might want to change the style of the button there. So let's come along to the button. We can see, in fact, we don't need to style it there, do we? We style it from our style page. Let's come down to buttons. We've got the normal here. The only thing I want to remove is the border. I can see a border there, which I don't like. So let's remove that. So no border, so that we just have our normal submit button. We can see that the text color there is white. So let's change that to black. And then on the hover state, let's also change that text color to black, just so that it looks like that. We've got that box shadow that's appearing there on hover. That's coming from our global default, and that's fine for me. So now let's just actually come along to this top level container. We can see this has got a fixed width of 806, which is okay. I'm happy with that. We can leave that as it is. It's got a min height in viewport height. Let's just change this to pixels so that we fix it. We could maybe go with something like 700. We can also give this a background color. Let's give it a gradient with our primary color as the first, secondary color as the second. Let's change that angle. In fact, we could leave it as 180. We could go wild this time just to make it a bit different, or we could stick it with our normal 120. That is okay. So do we want to change this text color to white? Let's see how that would look with a text color of white. I actually think that that looks okay. So we could actually have that white, or do we keep it with the globals? Decisions. I'm in fact going to keep it with our accent global color, so that's okay. With this, let's just go ahead and actually edit the border here. Let's make that a different color to this off-white color. Let's come to style. Let's come down to fields. Let's now give this border color. Maybe if we make this accent again, it'll give it that purple color. That looks okay. We could also change the text color within them fields. We could change that to accent as well. We could probably make that a little bit more transparent so that it looks a bit like that. We could even make that white, to be fair, couldn't we? So we could leave that white. That is okay as well. Now we can see that that submit button doesn't look so good now. So what we would probably want to do is make that, just change that from the global default, and we can just make this instead a fixed color. So we can set it as a static color here. Let's set that as a background color of accent. We can see that that's not changed anything there. So after messing around with this, I still can't get this button to change. So there's obviously some kind of bug there that's preventing me from overriding it. So I'm not going to waste any more time on this now. I will reach out to Elementor, find out what the solution is. But let's just carry on with this course, with this lesson, and we'll come back to this when I've got a solution. So for now, what I want to do, so since we have this form, it is all correct apart from the button. I don't think that there's any more styling I think that we really need to do. Of course, we could edit this. Get in touch today to find out how we can help you build the website of your dreams always helps if it's a plural. Okay, so something like that as some text. That's absolutely fine. I do think that there's a little bit too much space again between that. So I'm coming up to the top level container. The element gap is actually 48 at the minute. So let's reduce that right down so that we have it something like, I think 20 is okay. And then we can just add some padding to the bottom of this heading here. So let's do that now. Padding or margin, it doesn't make a difference. Let's add that padding to the bottom, so that it looks like that. If we wanted to add in a line, we could add in a divider there. Let's go ahead and add in a little divider here. For some reason that didn't drag in. Let's try that one more time. Where is the divider? Let's drag the divider in. And then let's make that width maybe like 42%. Let's make that center. Let's come up, let's reduce that gap so that it looks like that. The weight is okay. We could also make this accent color. We could also add some negative margin to the, oh, not the padding, some negative margin to the top just to bring it closer to the Get in Touch so that it looks something like that. So something like that is okay. That is not a problem at all. I'm happy with that. What we can actually do now is just save this section as a template. So let's save this as a template. This is the Contact Us template that we're going to use on each of our different case study template pages for the different categories. So we'll save that one. What I'll also do is I'm actually going to save this one, so the actual form here, as a global. So this is the contact form for contact section. So that means when we actually do come back round to editing this form, just to make that button correct, we'd only have to edit that one global widget, and it's going to apply them changes to every instance that we have used this actual global. So this is going to be used on this page. It will be used on the category pages for e-commerce and for the service websites as well under case studies. So that is basically this page taken care of. I think that looks pretty neat, very nice and tidy. Again, it just showcases everything that we've been doing for this website. Now, of course, you can carry on adding more stuff, but I suppose the real takeaways is how we can really make this page have a bit of a bang to it, and that is with these cool different effects and these scrolling effects here that you can go away and apply to your own pages. Now, of course, we can add some more motion effects. So what we could do, we could come along to our Better Life Design, we could come to Advanced, we could add motion effects here. We could change this to a scrolling, or not scrolling effect, an entrance animation, should I say. Let's say fade in left, so that it fades in left. We could say do that fast. And then we could also do the same for this container. We'll just add a small delay to this one. So motion effects, entrance, fade in from the left. We'll make that fast as well. Only this time we'll make this a 200 millisecond delay. Now we could also do the same with this container. So this whole container here, I'm going to add a motion effect of fade in again. So an entrance animation, fade in. We could also do the same with this. So let's come along and select this right hand container. Let's come down to motion effects. Let's come down to animation and then fade in from the right. Let's make that fast again. And we could, it's frozen there, but I'm sure that will fix itself. We could also make this container appear. Let's do that before we move on to the bottom one, motion effects. Let's do an entrance of just fade in, or even a fade up might look quite cool with this one. So fade up, and we can make that fast. And then if we come down to our form, we can just make this one have a entrance animation under motion effects. Entrance animation, which one do we want to do here? Maybe we could try as, no, I don't like the zooms. Don't like the bounces, don't like the slide-ins. I'm going to keep it with a fade. So let's just do maybe a fade, not a fade down. We'll just do a fade in. And we'll make that fast again so that it looks like that. So, I mean, I'm happy with that. So if we was to go ahead and select update now, let me close down these tabs because we don't need these. You're interested to know where I get these pings from, like this mobile phone and the desktop at the top. I use a website called pngwing.com. You can download lots of free PNGs, whether it's logos, icons, all sorts. That's where I get bits like this phone from, so do check it out. Let's actually now preview what this looks like. So if we actually come along to exit and then open in a new tab, what we want to do, if we actually come to that template now, so this is under case studies, come to all case studies. If we view this page, we will see it in all of its glory. So we can see that that animation works, that scroll works. We can see something doesn't quite look right up the top there, so we would obviously need to work on that. But again, that's not particularly hard to fix. We just need to adjust the sizing, right? So let's do that now. Let me just quickly refresh this. And I'm guessing it's probably, let's select this container where we have the background applied to it. If we come along to top center, that's fine. So maybe if we just reduce that, okay, that doesn't seem to be doing anything. Let's maybe make that. I'm not sure why that wasn't quite working as we'd expected. Let me just update, come back over to this. We can reload this and we can see this time it's working okay. So there's a bit of a gap at the bottom, but you know, we can easily fix that. That isn't the end of the world. We can see that this content is now all dynamically injected. So that is looking really cool. I'm really happy with that. And now we can actually start adding a few more case studies.